My name is Coach Brent Grablachoff, and I've been coaching about 9 years after playing football in high school. I was a first-team all-conference kicker in New Jersey, where I'm originally from, and you'll hear that accent throughout the night, sort of mixed with California as well as Texas sometimes because I'm out here so often doing camps. And then I played at a Division III school called Montclair State University in New Jersey. So I did 4 years at Montclair State. I was a first-team All-American kicker there. I went on to actually try to play professional. And long story short, the next day I woke up on the plane ride back to California with a throbbing hip. And a couple weeks later, I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and I had a torn hip flexor, which would be equivalent to a pitcher basically tearing his rotator cuff. So that's something I'm going to reference today in this session, as well as in the later session. We're going to talk more about protocol as far as frequency of kicking, what you guys could be doing to sort of keep your guys on a steady game plan or strategy throughout practice, instead of just saying, hey Mike or hey Chris, go take your sack of balls and come back an hour later, because that's how most coaches are. They might not know details of the kicking game, but I'm going to try to give you guys sort of an overview today, so at least you know the 101s, maybe a little bit about the 202s today, and you'll have enough knowledge to sort of be a mentor to your kickers and make sure they're not screwing up and jerking around during practice and actually getting their work done. Regardless, professional, amateur, high school, it doesn't really matter. It's just sometimes those demons come into your mind and it's hard to shake them. So we're going to talk a little bit about trying to phase out the negativity in kicking. It's sort of like a psychologist deal, talking about positive affirmations and really trying to make sure that your mind is in the zone. So when you go out there, it's sort of like riding your bike, where you're not thinking about the process. You're sort of just at that point implementing it. And I would, reference it to a coach. You go through your whole practice session, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is your walkthrough, and then Friday just should sort of be like the show. It shouldn't be like you're re-practicing it. So that's how kicking's got to be. You got to go out Friday night, know what you got to do, get your head in the game, and just go out and kick. Just some negative thoughts there that come into kickers' minds: collapse, failure, break, doubt, uncertainty. All of these things I experienced in my life when I was a kicker. I would go out to kick an extra point in the beginning of a game, and for some reason I'd be more nervous about the first PAT than the game winner at the end, because I think, oh geez, this is just a 20-yard chip shot. I'm expected to make this every time, so I can't go out there 30 degrees with toe warmers in my shoes in a New Jersey or Texas game when it's cold in November and go shank the PAT. Whatever the condition is, your kicker's got to make it. So we're going to talk about today how to make sure you prep them up or coach them up during the week so that they come through when it's time. We're all trying to do good for your kicker, but unfortunately, you might be more specialized in offensive schemes, or the running game, or defensive coverage for cornerbacks, or whatever it is. Well, my specialty is exclusively just kickers and punters, so you're going to learn a lot from it today, and you should be felt like you're more coached up, a little bit more knowledgeable, and you could sort of hang in the arena when your coach or when your kicker asks, hey Coach Johnson, what do you think about this, or are my steps looking right, or am I hitting the ball in a sweet spot? Hopefully by the end of tonight you guys will be able to answer that for them. And regardless if it's in season, out of season, whatever, I'd say maximum, write this down, maximum of 40 to 50 balls per session. That would mean if it's a field goal kicker, only a field goal kicker, no more than about 40 balls a day. If he's a field goal kicker / punter / kickoff or whatever, maybe do something about 25 field goals, maybe 8 to 10 kickoffs, and maybe 10 to 12 punts, or something in that range. And then if you do like a heavy field goal day, maybe the next day do a heavy punt day or a heavy kickoff day. And if they're doing kickoffs, I'd say no more than about 15 kickoffs ever in one day, because that's expending most of your energy and most of your power, and it puts a toll on your body. I got a question up here from. What was that about?
What if it's a dual?
Okay, so if it's a combo kicker, you'd sort of like best judgment, just sort of play it by ear. If he's more of a field goal focus, I'd put more of a focus on like 30 field goal, maybe 10 to 12 kickoffs, and that's more than enough in a day. If he's jockeying all three, you just recruited the kid off soccer this year and it's his first time doing it, ease his way into it with that 2 times a day, but once he gets into the kicking mode, maybe go about 25 field goals, 10 kickoffs, and maybe 10 punts. And then again, more punts one day, more field goals, etc. And then you see it right there broken down. Monday off, Tuesday 40, Wednesday 40. That's in season at the bottom. Thursday less than 15. Just like you guys do like uppers or helmets on a Thursday practice, you're not really, you're doing thud or touch or whatever. You're not trying to kill your guys. A kicker doesn't want to go out and blast his leg and then, go for the big Friday night and his leg's shot already. So you want to try to maybe limit it to maybe even like 5 kicks, but definitely less than 15. And then Friday's your game day. During the game, if you guys have a net, I highly recommend it. It's very good, but also make sure you got someone on the sideline monitoring your kicker, because a lot of times they're not thinking about it and they'll go out there and kick every time you get into the red zone or every time you break the 50-yard line, and by the end of the first or second quarter, they've kicked 30 warm-up kicks, so their leg's not going to be ready to go at the end of the game. So that's all about a maintenance thing and just making sure your guy knows that, kicking into the net is just get the leg through routine. You could probably do more of a dry kick instead of actually kicking, which sometimes is better instead of taking the power out of your leg, because you want to be ready for the fourth quarter or overtime to come through. What's that?
You're talking about your frequency of kicks. Is there a certain distance, like you don't want the kid kicking 35 versus whatever?
That's a great question. So should he be kicking in some sort of intervals or a distance range when he practice? Absolutely. I should have hit that. So field goals, I'll give you a little in practice routine, and I'll give you a pregame routine here. For pregame, here's a really good deal. About 5 PATs with the snapper, because you want to grab him right away before he goes and the O-line coach finds him to do something else. So 5 PATs with the hold, snap, kick. Just get into the groove, and then maybe do 25 left, 25 right, 30 left, 30 right, 35 left, 35 right, 40 middle, 45 middle, and if you got a real good leg, 50 middle. And if you got some scouts out there looking for your quarterback or receiver and the guy can make it, maybe try putting a 55 through, because I'll assure you that they're going to probably start looking at him too. So that's about 10 to 12 kicks right there. And then what I would typically do is, if the guy's a field goal focused but also doing other positions, go to kickoffs, go sort of towards the numbers of the field, about midfield, kick some 50-yard, 3/4. When I say 3/4, I mean not trying to kill the ball, but about a 3/4 chip kickoff. Maybe do like a couple modified steps, so it's not the full approach, but maybe like a 3 or 4, not nonchalant, but somewhere in between easy and full strength, and then finish up with maybe like 3 or 4 real kickoffs. And then I would go to punts if he punts, and if he doesn't punt, just have the guy chill out on the sideline and help out with the rest of the team, facilitating the pregame warm-ups, and just make sure he continues to stretch. And another little tip for October, November, throw some toe warmers, the ones that stick, like some of you hunters or fishermen, you might use them. Stick them right on top of that Under Armour girdle, and it's going to keep the hip flexor warm. And that's something that really got me through some of those snowy games. So keeps the leg warm. Maybe throw one in the kicking shoe, and instead of going out there running out with numb feet and numb legs, he's going to feel really field goal steps as far as the back, over, and alignment. Does anyone really know it good right now? So would you want me to go over that with you? Okay, cool. So you got your field goal block. There's a 2-inch deal. This is for most freshmen, sophomores. If you're getting ready to go to college and the guy's really hitting that ball high already, I would migrate him to a 1-inch, which is simply this deal cut in half. Now, you don't want to go to a 1-inch if he's got a real low trajectory. Some kids, they go to these kicking camps out there, like I hold a kicking camp. There's a zillion of them out there. And long story short, sometimes they go to the 1-inch thinking they're doing good for the kicker, but in fact they're kicking like a line drive knuckleball. And you don't want to migrate them to the 1-inch until they're already getting maybe too much spin. So one way you could look is, this would be a good spin in a field goal, something about in that range. If the guy's kicking it like this, there's several reasons. It could be maybe he's kicking it too low on the ball, but more times than not, he could probably get ready to migrate to a lower tee or even off the ground. So if you ever see this, you want to look at it, because that's not an optimal trajectory. That would be like hitting a sand wedge instead of taking out your 3-wood on a par 4 or something. You wouldn't want to do that because you're not getting the distance that you confident kick versus just sort of going out there, rounding out the steps, you know, just sort of nonchalantly taking the steps. He's really not doing anything to get his mind thinking, I'm going to make this kick, okay? So after I take my 4 steps, what I want to do is breathe in through my nose. This is really important, just like you're doing a bench press. In and out, same deal here. In, out, real slow too, and then I connect. Now what I do is I take a 90-degree angle, simple geometry, so whether I'm on the hash mark or not, you know, this will be a righty here, I'd be going like this, wherever I am on the field from your guys' vantage point. That's how I take the steps. I wouldn't go take my steps back and then follow the lines on the field. It's always a 90-degree angle. So I go over 2, 1, 2, keep my left foot sort of just locked into the ground, take my right foot back, and just sort of get in a comfortable stance. Now, you might see some guys perched up on their right foot like this. You might see other guys hunched over. I say try to just go for a nice comfortable stance where you just sort of tuck that foot in like it's cocked and ready to go. You need to get a little bit more forward to hit down below enough. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if I stand here far back from the tee and my leg starts swinging through, see where it catches really high up on the ball? So the more I step forward, the more I'm going to hit at the downswing. So you want to try to think of it as like catching it at the apex or the best part of the swing and almost on the rise, if that is, you know, whether you're pro, college, whatever, 80% power. It should be more of a finesse approach for field goal kicking, focused on precision and ball contact versus like raw power and dominating the ball, which is more kickoffs. And we're going to talk about that later tonight in the other side. Press around right where that hard bone is where they need to hit. And on that same subject with hitting the ball sweet per se, one thing that would really help the kickers to better hit it every time solid would be soccer cleats or some kind of a low-profile football cleat if they play other positions. So I don't have this in the notes, but I figure I'd just throw it out to you. So Adidas Copa Mundial or Nike Tiempo Legend would be 2 good recommended cleats. The reason that's Adidas Copa Mundial and Nike Legend. They're kangaroo leather. It's a really, really soft, supple leather. And what you do is you get about a size lower than what you typically wear. So if you're like a size 10 in like a Nike Speed TD or whatever type of football cleat you wear, you get about a size 9. And it sort of shapes to your foot. And what it does is it gives you a really, really hard, tight fit. And then it's going to allow you to hit that sweet spot instead of hitting maybe a little bit of